Yes, really, she was.
Okay. Thank you, John. It's fault. Welcome to the Water Race Committee meeting, 12th of November. We'll start with the Karakia Timatanga on the wall over here. Thanks, please.
Mai te arohana, rāra ki te awaraki, tēnei te ākore, awhia e taratai, whānau, haere mai te toki, haumene ki mea, taiki.
Thank you. Move on to, I'd just like to welcome everybody along and welcome to people in our public forum who will get an opportunity to obviously speak in a few minutes. Let's move on to apologies. I have one apology from Councillor Steve Gallen. Any other apologies?
Mr. Chair, just letting you know that I'll be leaving around 2:30 along with me, Councillor Casey. We have another appointment.
Stephen Simon, 2:30. Should be over by then. We will keep time. Has anybody got any conflicts of interest declaration? Anybody got anything to declare? No. So we'll move on to public forum. I just welcome Karen to the table. Do you want to come and sit up here, Karen? Karen, introduce yourself and have a little chat to us.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen McPhee. I live at 34 Cobden Road and I've got a complaint about the water race that is putting water onto my property. I'd like to have a bit of a talk to you all to see what you can do. I've had the people come through and take photos. It's happened since 1988 and I think it's been going on long enough. And I just want the committee to really have a look at it and see what they can do with it. It's not the water race really on my property, it's across the road. And it comes and conjoins into a paddock, then it comes into a drain. Then there's two pipes underneath the road and the water comes through there. And on my side, there's no drain to take it away. All it does is go straight through the trees through into my property. And this happens on the height of the winter. If I have 2 or 3 weeks of rain, it's just going to goes under my house, through my pump house. I've got to be careful of my water, my well, and it goes into the stables about 4 inches up the wall. So I'm not talking about a small amount, I'm talking about a considerable amount. And it goes across the road because the pipes can't take it. So I think something needs to be done. But all I'm asking is the water flow to be turned back or diverted. And the roads board must be brought to the attention that they have 2 pipes under the road that needs to be looked at to see what they can do to prevent it coming through the trees and through into my property. So it's been going on for 36 years and I've just had enough.
Yeah.
So I'm wanting you people to see if you can come up with some constructive ideas to stop it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Karen.
And probably it's worth pointing out that that's the next report, Race Cobden Road report.
Thanks, Karen.
We had a long discussion about that at the last meeting. And I think we come up with alternatives, didn't we?
Well, we can discuss it in the next report.
The next report.
The next report.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the reports. 6.1 water race at Cobden Road, and the author of that report is made up of several people, but Lawrence, it's your baby at the moment. Well, look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So as Karen sort of just described, I have tried to lay out as much of the detail as she's sort of highlighted. It might be worth, yeah, we've got some photos, additional photos to what was actually in terms of a flooding event, which Sarah can bring up onto the screen. However, I've sort of broken it down into a number of different options that we can sort of review. What the house owner, so what Karen is able to do on site, which will deal with some of the overland flow on her own property in terms of diverting it around her house and her outbuildings. And that is, well, yeah, Karen's got a good description of what the issue is. Right. As I said, the water race does receive a lot of overland flow upstream from Fincham Reserve area. So this is the water race that Karen was talking about on the upstream side of the road, and then the culvert going through for the water race. On to the next one. And this is sort of in front of her driveway and the downstream, which is discussed in downstream cleaning section, where the issues in terms of getting access is that it's not maintained as much as we'd like it to. The owners do a certain amount by hand. However, it obviously has some restrictions during wet weather sort of events. So they've highlighted that, and I think Karen has a similar, that the water race actually is predominantly in the road reserve. The one option which I'm proposing to discuss with roading department is to remove the fence so that we can clean it easier and we don't have to try to get onto the owner's property at all. And maintain it from the roadside sort of reserve. And that would help alleviate and make sure water can sort of get away. Next photo. And this is the downstream sort of entranceway, and then it goes further down Cobden Road and then Belvedere. So yeah, I think more regular maintenance is one of the options I'm sort of proposing, and discussion with the roading department in terms of getting an assessment on what the cost would be, or whether we can fit it within existing work. Review of the roadside drains, which are, if you're looking at the photo at the moment, past the gum trees. And take the water the other direction. So that would be any water that does overflow or come from the road would be actually being taken to a other section of the water race.
Lawrence, that first gum tree, that's on whose property?
That's not my property.
That's the neighbour's property. However, looking at it, potentially it's in the road reserve.
Karen's Gateway is right there, the rails, isn't it?
No, where the Macrocarpa heads
Neighbours.
beyond the other gum tree.
See that white,
The other gum tree.
Yes.
the white mark on the side of the road, it's just past that.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
This tree here is on whose property?
I think that's in the road reserve. We need to confirm that. But potentially it's in the road reserve. So
That is a major problem, that tree.
The next one down, the willow tree on the other side of that gateway is it's blocked the cattle stop with roots and the race.
Where, is that down by the gum tree, by the white marker?
behind, it's not in the photo, I think.
But that there does not affect my property. My property, the water comes over the road further up
Further
from the paddock
Yeah.
Yeah.
over
So
and under
Yeah.
the road.
So what I'm saying here is because it can't, there's restriction, it's accumulating up at the bend by 34 and then overflowing. So that's contributing to the issue and increasing the frequency. So if we're able to maintain that a bit more frequently, it'll allow it, because if you go to the next photo, the amount of water that's sitting there, and that's where you're talking about the willow
tree there by those lilies.
Yeah.
It's blocked the cattle stop and
Yeah.
the race.
So the amount of water sort of sitting there to the next photo, compared to how much is going down the actual road, a lot of it is actually still going down the water race, but it's going through the cattle stop and that sort of thing. So if we're able to maintain that, I think that would help. And that's why I'm sort of suggesting if you refer to the actual recommendations, it'd be a swale on the land, which will help manage it, any overflow and overland flow. Improving access for the downstream, so this section, so that any water that's accumulated can get away, more opportunity to get away, and less frequent overflows or taking up the capacity. And then we'll work with the roading department to look at what the roadside drains are, whether or not that can be, because it's in photos of figures 5, those pine trees along the side of the road, which is to the north of the water race. Those are all sort of in the road reserve as well, or very close to the road reserve. So there's potentially a bit of land to sort of create a wider sort of roadside drain. But that would have to be surveyed to make sure you get full, because you don't really want to be accumulating more and having any issues.
So the water so I actually feel sorry that you've had to put up with this for so long, and you shouldn't have to. And I've seen these sort of issues have cropped up over the years in various places, and the council fixed it. And they haven't, some have hung around a bit, but probably not as long as your one. But if the pikey, the water comes, the water race, that comes in up by Stables somewhere, doesn't it? Is that right?
Yep.
And then the Pension Reserve, so that water off that hill is coming around the drain, by drain and heading down here.
All the water from up the Belvedere Road, round through Fensham Reserve, all comes in and drops in, infiltrates the water race at the back of Sable's property.
So in here somewhere I read, where the water from Pension Reserve, so could that be sent down another drain quite easily, could it?
Well, there'll be a bit of work to do it.
It's up further up the road, is it?
There's a
No,
T
no,
intersection.
No, it's in the back.
There's a T intersection and the water race is up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, it's quite a simple job of putting a restrictor in there to stop it going Karen's way and go the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, taking us 36 bloody years to get to it. I think it's pretty poor.
Yeah, but they can't, if you did that though, so that would take a lot of water off, but even there's somewhere in there where the culverts are still not big enough to get rid of the water, then the water shouldn't be going into her place at all.
No.
Like there shouldn't be any need for her to start putting a swale, would be called, in her property.
So my point is that will protect any overland flow on her property as well.
Yeah.
So if we get a rain event of 100 mils, which is possible in terms of an storm event, that's all going to accumulate and go via that route. So if she is able to put in that swale, they'll protect it from her own property. We can manage so that it doesn't exacerbate the situation and increase the volume, but there's already an existing risk because of the shape of the land and where the house is.
Yeah, but the borough gave the permission for the house to be put there.
Yeah.
Yep, and they would have done it from a building consent point of view, and you're on piles, so from their point of view, it's not ideal having water going underneath the house, but you're not going to get the floors flooded.
Sorry, may I speak? I'm here to support Karen. I'm a local neighbour as well.
Mike Scott.
Yes, if I may just add a couple of comments. Can you or are you able to look at the existing situation in so much as you have an existing issue, which is there is a large catchment from where we see it, a large catchment that is targeted through your water race, which actually eventuates straight across the road from Karen's property. So you've got a huge amount of water targeted to a specific area and then goes across the road, like either across the road or underneath the road, and goes straight to Karen's place. So whilst there is a public law that says you need to receive overland flow from a neighbouring property, we would suggest that the actual catchment that Karen is receiving is far in excess of what she would do in a normal situation. So you've got a lot of flow coming and it's really difficult. Now, I don't know whether you can resolve all of the upstream issues, but what Karen's saying is, and I have actually stood there with water just about going over my gumboots at her front door with the water, trying to, what can we do? So I've cleaned the culvert out to the extent that I'm able to with a small digger that I have. I've lifted up her cattle stop and actually cleared debris, etc., etc. There is only so much that Karen's going to be able to do. And so the swale, yes, absolutely. We could put a moat right around Karen's house to make it safe, for sure. But actually, is it her responsibility to do that in the first instance? So I think actually the district council has a number of things that they could do if you so wished to do it. And I get budgetary constraints, Lawrence, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think Karen really cares where you find the money from. Just can you do it? And so if you're not going to do it, then be explicit about it, because I have been a party to a number of conversations with Karen and others where everybody says they're going to do, and yes, we'll get onto it, it just doesn't happen. And so that's the problem. So Karen has given up within reason to go to this extent to come to see you now to say, what can you do? And I don't think it should be Karen as the first instance having to put a swale around her house to deal with significant flow that's coming from another source, which is not natural overland flow.
Isn't there a number of, it's not just doing one thing.
Yeah.
It's doing a sequence of things to stop the water going through a house. But like Grant said, what you're saying, that's right, isn't it? Is that right?
If we put a restrictor in up at the top of Zabel's to the tune of 300 millimetres and the pipe under the road at Karen's is 600. So technically, from the water race from Upper Belvedere, which is all overland flow, not water race, because we shut the water race down, it goes out into that side drain that goes out down Belvedere Road through the dip by massive fires, which can cope with the water. It's the water that comes in after that block from round the foot of Zabel's Hill, directly out of Fincham, because you've got to remember there's a huge wetland in Fincham. When all the rain goes into there, that just overflows, comes out. But if you go back, like Karen said, 88, if you go to the first photo, that one. What used to happen is that water used to come there and we upsized the culvert in the days of Barron Tree. I'm talking about this culvert under here. That's correct, Karen?
Yeah, that's a new one.
Oh. Well, what used to happen is you can see that water encouraging itself down the fence line on the Taurua side of Cobden Road. It ran down the road in the water table, through a pipe, and then down to the creek past Nolan Terry's driveway to the cow shed. But the macrocarpa hedge, if you go to the other photo, that's on the north side of Karen's Gateway.
I don't think it's in the photos.
It's not in there, is it?
No, it's in the report, your figure 5.
Well, water table under there hasn't been maintained for years and years, and it's full, so it's not taking some of the water. That would take some of the water. It won't solve the problem, but every little bit should.
Yeah.
To divert does help.
And that's why there's if we read through in terms of the table one, in terms of the number of options that will help manage that.
Neil, yeah.
I'm going to say, I sympathise with Karen. It would be totally unacceptable. I agree with John. It should never have gone this long. But can I ask, how much is this a problem caused by the waterway system itself? And how much has the waterways been blamed for environmental problems that are not, this committee is not responsible for, as a council's problem as a whole? As the water coming into the waterways appears to be causing a lot of problems. The stormwater. Are this committee responsible for the stormwater damage and effects or not?
In terms of it's been going on for 34 years.
For the responsibility of the council, for the waterways committee and what we have to fund to repair it. And it should not be part of the wider council problem.
You're probably getting away from, because we don't really do a lot of work for stormwater outside of the urban. We don't collect any rates for it. So you're confusing things a little bit, I think, there.
We do.
Council responsible still.
Yeah, we do maintain stormwater drains.
In the past, what happens is when a road floods, road can get onto me, the waterways, and get me to try and sort it out by way of cleaning, maintenance, unblocking, whatever. So when that water runs down the roading should do something, and they give us a number that we charge them for the work that we need to do to prevent the water from running on the road.
Steve,
Through, Mr. Chair, I've got a couple of questions. One of them isn't individual property owners responsible for stormwater on their own property. That's what it is in town. Surely rural property owners is the same. And the other question is what Fincham Reserve? It's their own responsibility. There's a committee running Fincham Reserve. What are they doing to control their own stormwater within the reserve, the boundaries of the reserve?
You can't because of the lay of the land. The lay of the land's like that. So there's no way that they can retain all that water that comes off their land.
Hence the overland flow path and the Land Drainage Act. In terms of that. So there is additional volume sort of coming in, and if we review, there's a number of different options to start dealing with the issue. We can, well, my recommendations are we work with the roading department, and for the next meeting, we come back with costs to talk to council, but at the moment, it's not really in the long-term plan as a.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Yep, good, Lawrence, what you just said.
Yep.
But I think as part of that, we actually need to go out there as a committee and visually look at the problems, because that will give us a much better understanding than actually sitting around the table here reading this. I think what the work you've done so far is great, but I think in addition to what you just said, the next stage included in that needs to be a actual visit.
So
And I'm talking about going out the whole committee, those who can make it.
yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for that. I think most of us have actually been on site.
Yep.
But yeah, I totally agree that perhaps we need to go out with Lawrence, take a fresh look at it. Hang on a minute.
Yep.
Take a fresh look at it and work through the actions that Lawrence has already taken about costings, options, and coming back to the next committee meeting with some firm recommendations, costings, and go from there.
Because that'll be what the council will be deciding on, is what the priority is, what the costs are, and does it fit in, or whether it's going to be unplanned expenditure. Because at the moment, I don't think
There's nothing.
it's highlighted in.
Right.
Sorry.
And
Um,
the mayor's suggestion there that this is a stormwater. To me, it's not stormwater. It's in the waterway system. So if we got water in the waterway system, it's our duty to to look after, the council's duty to look after. It's not the bloody landowners' problem. It's water in the storm, in the waterway system, not stormwater. Stormwater might come in there, but it's in the waterway system. So as far as I'm concerned, it's waterway's water.
So, Chair. Sorry.
Sorry, Jeff.
Committee, appreciate the opportunity to speak. I think you're absolutely right that overland flow means you have to extend upstream or overland flow from uphill. What you can't do is constrict or concentrate that overland flow into a particular area without mitigating the effect. And what we have done with waterways is concentrate all of the water into a single area. So I agree with you. I suggest that this is a water race issue because the water is concentrated by the water race activity.
Thanks, Jeff. Karen, do you want to?
Yes, I'd like to, just one thing. I like to, Pikey has most have put up with me the most, ringing up every night or afternoon saying, Pikey, the bloody water's coming in my place again. And he says, I've tried, Karen, but he said they haven't got the money.
I don't,
And it's gone year after year after year.
yeah, well, I don't
I've
agree,
never been asked for the money, just to be frank.
but I don't agree, I don't,
Yeah, Amos didn't come and ask you.
Well,
This is going
Sorry.
way back.
Okay.
can we go back? One, I don't know whether or not anybody's ever put a cop to it. So
I'll be right.
yeah, anyway, if we get back to the report, there are some proposals in terms of receiving the report.
Okay, so, yeah, we'll get back to recommendations, because I think we're going around in circles a little bit here, and we've got to, so we've had questions, discussion, first of all, can I have a mover that we, one, receive the report? Yep. Yes, JB, seconded. Neil, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. And two, recommends further investigation and cost estimates for improving access for downstream cleaning of the neighbouring property, including removing the fence. B, improving roadside drainage, reviewing options of division 2 and 3. And C, diverting water at the corner division 1. Take those all as one. Can I have a mover for that, please? Thank you, Neil. Second, JP.
And Chair, would we like to also add in another action to organise an on-site
Yeah,
I'll move that.
meeting?
on-site meeting. I'll include that in organise an on-site meeting.
And I think that meeting going hand in hand with Lawrence's
Yes, we'll have some
recommendation, so we can get a,
yeah, and what the actual cost would be.
I think it'd be really.
Okay, so I'll put those 4 recommendations, A, B, C and D. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you, guys, and we'll let you know, obviously, when the site meeting is going.
From Karen's point of view, can we be assured that the problem is fixed ASAP?
We're coming back.
Again, if it gets round, we'll know the costs and then we can look at what.
How are we going to?
There's a number of actions there we can to start managing it.
you're quite right though. These people sat around for years, listen, and had water running through their place. What I'd ask you is, how long would any of you put up with that for? If water's running, Lawrence, start with you.
Yeah.
Water's pouring to your place, how long would you put up with it without going to the council? And you wouldn't be interested in where the cost is falling, or what is you say, this is a property right. My house is getting flooded by water that's coming from somewhere, and it should be gone. And everyone's the same, and I think we should get onto this ASAP. And I think that there should be, and I think that the work should be done ASAP, not wander on into the next 6 months and so forth.
Okay, thanks. I think we've had enough discussion on that. Karen, we'll let you know when the meeting is in.
The site visit.
Yes,
We have to attend it.
yes.
Yeah. And if I could just, and I know, sorry, Chair, there is something that can be done that I understand is within the delegation of the Waterways Committee, and that is the downstream clearing of that drain and removing the fence. If it's your fence and it's your drain and it's on your land, why can't you do that now within existing budgets? Because that would at least do something.
Yeah, we need to make sure that there's not going to create other issues. It's not with the roading,
That's not what you said, but that's fine.
we're working within the roading department though, because it's road reserve. So we've got our own CMP and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, move on, 6.2, the water race report. This is Lawrence again.
Indeed.
Yep.
I'll take the report as read. It's just a brief sort of update. We've got a few sort of points. Jason Rose, the new water race overseer. What is his title? Sorry.
2IC.
2IC. Will we end up deciding? Yeah. We'll be starting in December. So I'm having a catch up with Pikey to sort of discuss getting him trained up in the sort of interim and making sure that we've got all the equipment organised so he can start the work.
Sorry.
No, I was going to move on to the service.
Well, we
request.
go to Rose. I think for those, probably explain to the committee, those weren't at the interview sessions and also weren't at the sessions where we agreed on the terms of his employment. Do you want to go over that? So they're on those?
Employment conditions, something that's not part of this committee.
Yeah.
Operational.
Yeah, and I would need to go out for, it's operational, so anyway.
Potential.
So everything's sort of lining up nicely for him to start and.
I think so, yes, but we need to get agreed, said with Pikey, making sure he's got shadowing him for a set period, so he's starting to get refamiliarised. I believe he has worked in the water race network previously, so it was a benefit. But obviously things have changed since then and getting him familiar with it, with it. Cool. Summary of service requests. Obviously tail end of the winter, so a few sort of blockages in that, and Pikey sort of commented in his report that the wind events have had quite a bit of effect in terms of debris getting into the water race and causing blockages, as well as trees being uprooted. Do you want to add anything in particular, Pikey?
I know it's just ongoing. We're still pulling out branches and sticks and plastic and rubbish that can't seem to keep floating down.
Yep.
It'll go on for a bit yet.
And 0.6.
I just got to, before we go over,
Sorry.
Off overseer's report, the Kokotau branch, the service request, progress on your bank repairs and that sort of thing that's going on, or was that the Tiffin Hill one that we're talking about?
Those are both the same.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's one on the Tiffin Road side.
Yeah. Is that,
The other one is on the Kokotau Road side.
okay, so those,
Kokotau Road side is going down the hill before it goes around, the race goes around into the dam.
yeah,
It's been so wet in there, some of those trees blew over, which we've cut off, dragged out of the way, but it's just so wet and messy and it's all clay. We've sandbagged the holes 2 or 3 times, but they do move because it's clay. We've reduced the water level in the race and we cleaned below the driveway to reduce the height of the water to try and take the pressure off the banks, which worked. But then we couldn't find where the water's coming out. So we got a suspicion that the water is actually coming from underground as opposed from coming out of the water race. So we dirtied the water and it didn't change colour, which it should do in a matter of time. So we dirtied the water, went away, come back 4 hours later. The water race was milky, but the water coming out was crystal clear. So I said to Lawrence a few weeks ago, when you get a chance, we'll put some dye in the water race and see if we can pick it up. But it could be coming from a spring way up the back of Kokotau Hill, coming down underground and cropping out. But till we can dry that up, we can't actually.
It works out.
We've got pipes that we've purchased to put in where the leaks were, but we've got to cover them with sunlight. So we've got a cart fill in from Park Road. We've got heaps of fill at Park Road cart in. So we've got to back in the driveway off that bend, which, as you know, it's a traffic hazard at the best times. Back and tip the dirt, and then we've got to pick it up with a digger and carry it up to put over the pipe. So we've got to get a stockpile of material there, and it's all subject to weather conditions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
One of
we
where
have been working on it. Yeah.
so at Webb's, it's a different kettle of fish because now they, just before he bought the property, they put a fence up. Prior to that, there was no fence, and that farm was a Frisian bull farm, and that's the reason the water race is so wide. It's because of the damage done by the stock. The fence is in a position where we can't actually get a machine anywhere near it to do anything there, but where he said that the race was deepened, well, it was. We did deepen it as a silt trap to trap the silt that comes from Carter's line right through the Rayner property, right down and all the way through there, because we couldn't deal with the silt round below Peter Burgess's house. If you try and get the silt out there, it runs down the hill, your diggers slide down the hill, and it's not ideal. So what we did is we deepened that piece so that it retained the silt in the winter, and then the summer we come and take it out. And that was fine till they put the fence up. So we need a meeting with Mr. Webb, have a look at it, work out what we can do and how we can narrow it up.
Thank you. And the only other question I got is weed control. A lot of blackberry growth in the water race adding to your workloads. Do you spray that, or what do you do? Do you mechanically dig it out?
Well, the problem is you can't, because what it's caused by is all the beautiful plantings that GW have done. And the birds come along from the river or wherever they've been feeding on the blackberries, perch in the new plantings, leave a little job there with the seeds in, and they grow. So you can't physically get them out because the roots are all in amongst the plantings. But what's happening now is that the blackberry has overgrown the plantings and going into the water base, and then it sends roots into the water like spaghetti and regrows and then shoots out the other side. So when we clean, we cut it off at the edge of the plantings, but blackberry is back the next day. But as far as spraying goes, blackberry is very hard to get rid of, and if we use anything to get rid of it, we will kill all the native plantings. So when we do our code of practice, we're going to have a look at some of those issues going forward.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Done my questions. Anybody else got any questions on the overseas report? Okay.
That's okay. Thank you, Chair. And this actually should be the water race history report, not potential. But Michelle is here. If I may invite her to give us a brief update.
Introduce Michelle Ferreira, Johannes's wife, and she has been doing the water race history project for
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, I've just started.
Good. Way to go.
So good afternoon, councillors, committee members and staff. Like you just said, I'm Michelle Ferreira, and I'm privileged to undertaking the oral history research project on the Carterton District water races. So just as a quick overview for those of you who do not know, this project is being carried out in 2 phases. The phase 1 is an archival research phase. This is to establish an historical outline of the Carterton District water races, tracing the development from the late 1800s up to present day. It's also to identify connections with the broader New Zealand context. But the biggest thing about phase one is to create a strong evidence-based foundation for phase two. So phase two is where the bulk of the work is. That is where we start doing oral history interviews. This is to capture more recent histories, but also to document operational knowledge, community use, stakeholder experiences, ecological significance, and personal narratives. So that's just a quick overview of the project. With regard to the progress, like I said, I started 3 weeks ago, and Pikey was kind enough to take me on a drive through the waterways network as just a starting point for that first-hand context. And now I'm approximately halfway through the archival research phase one. This up until now included the National Library catalogue, working through that, the National Archive, the Wairarapa Archive, and also the local council archives. So I'm currently busy working my way slowly through the county council minute books, which is very interesting. Yeah, so I just wanted to say during this research, it has become increasingly clear that the Carterton water races are an astonishing historical asset. And I wanted to mention some of the main themes that have come up during this research up until now. Just to mention a few, it's the multi-purpose value of the water races, including community supply, farming industry, small-scale enterprise, and many more. Also, the adaptability of the water races. This is how the races evolved to meet the changing needs of the district. And then the collaborative stewardship of the races, where ratepayers, stakeholders, and councils have worked collectively across generations. These findings highlight how integral the water races have been to the development and resilience of the Wairarapa, enabling many activities that would otherwise have been impossible. So the next steps for the project are, I expect to complete phase one within the next few weeks. I'm working quite quickly through the archives. And then oral history interviews will be planned from early next year. Through Pikey and John McFadden will guide me on a list of possible interviewees, but I warmly invite any councillors, committee members, staff to make recommendations on people that you feel that should be interviewed, that have a long-standing knowledge of the water races or have stories and insights that should be recorded or captured for the record. I would have Lawrence share my contact details with you so that you can get in contact with me with those suggestions, if that's okay. And then I just wanted to close by saying this project is not just important for documenting the history of the water races, but it's also for the strengthening of their awareness, their recognition, and their future security. So that's why I'm doing it.
Yep.
So thank you that I could share my update.
Thank you. As any questions, Michelle? Discussion, you're quite happy?
I think when you start the interviews, I think like if you, like John Booth, Neil, all these guys.
Yeah.
We've all lived on the water race all our lives.
Mm.
So they'll all have people they'll link you to people that may be older, that might be if you're around. But they'll also link you to people that have will be able to tell you stories of
Exactly.
water races.
Yeah, that's the
I
hope.
think, Michelle, the other thing too is that something we've talked about over the last 2 or 3 or 4 years is, they have these environmental awards, and this would be a huge sort of leg up into something like that.
Yeah.
If we
That's
just
part of Phil's job.
Oh,
That's part of the Phil's job.
yeah.
So the idea that, yes, the idea of this, the idea of phase one and phase two, as I've already explained earlier, is to see what we can find in the archives and in the interviews and collect everything, see what we have, and then decide what are we going to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel sorry for you having to read all those minutes.
I am a bit weird, but I love it.
Really?
Yes.
You were the only applicant for the job.
Down there.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's very interesting. You come across so many interesting stories and have a bit of a giggle here and there. I love it.
Thanks, Michelle, and obviously you're invited to any water race meeting you want to come to.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
Be good to see you here and give us an update every meeting would be really good. Cool.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you, Michelle. Good. All right, we'll move on to 7 financial report.
Overall, everything seems to be going well to budget, a little bit under, but we'd expect that, given the time of year and more expenditure as we go into the drier summer season. Any questions in particular on the budget, Sajid?
I've just got a few questions because I'm trying to catch up. So I see last financial year, we actually overspent the income, so there was a bit of shortfall there. How is that covered, that shortfall?
In terms of that would be adjusted within existing budgets because we need to sort of balance it.
So it'll roll over into the financial year?
As far as I understand it, yes.
I thought it squares up somehow.
It will, yeah.
No, it squares up there, yeah.
Some of it will in terms of the operating expenditure, but the overall sort of maintenance in that would be adjusted.
But
And the reason for the overrun, was that through capital works or maintenance?
No, it was maintenance.
It's maintenance.
no, it's administration too. Because we're still carrying, there's no carryover,
Yeah.
the overcharge in administration that was in those accounts. That's
Some of it would be within that, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so what the costs are.
Not all the costs.
I'm going to put some of them up.
Yeah.
But- So then it's come down now. You
To adjust.
your operations and corporate services,
Yeah.
it'll come down like it, we come to the figure at the end of Jeff, we do the matrix
Mhm.
of about 160,000. And then that's going to be cut in half because of the refund of the overcharge, which we agreed. So that'll come out like, yeah, that should come out about 80 at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm not sure exact figures, but yes. Yep.
So the income this financial year will be similar to last year,
No.
right? More or
Oh,
less?
sorry. Income would be less.
So last year?
Yeah,
Okay, which is why the budget's less for this year.
correct.
Okay.
So there's been an adjustment in terms of the overheads. In terms of what the council's covering for the operational side.
Did we have a lot of deferred works from last year that we now have to work into this year's budget?
That was some of the overspend was catching up from the previous year's budget. Yeah.
Okay, yep. Okay.
Any other questions?
There's quite a, there's quite a bit of deferred maintenance that has to be brought up with.
Right.
Yeah, because we will piping coming off, because we had 3 years of overcharge. And so therefore what happened was the maintenance got screwed down to make it square at the end.
Yeah.
So there is. That's right, plugging up.
Yeah, basically, everything that we had hoped to do at the time, we couldn't do. So there's 41 outstanding jobs that are not. I've had to do 2. I've had to do the new pipe across the Booze Creek at the back of Goodens, which is now Grays, just to purchase the pipes and all the blocks and everything we needed for flood protection. Everything that's about 18,000 without the work that the engineering company did on the beam that holds the pipe. So we've already done that. And Also, the pipe over Booth Creek at the back of the golf course has also been done. Haven't got the full costing for that yet. They're quite a significant amount.
Mhm.
If they come out of our maintenance budget, it makes it hard to maintain the race.
I guess what we're trying to identify is we've got less budget this year, but we've got a lot of work to be done. And we've got rising construction costs, so that's something that needs to be managed.
All of that outstanding work couldn't possibly be done in 1 year physically for a start, and cost wise, it's probably not ideal. It needs to be spread over 2 or 3 years.
So is that that deferred maintenance, was that identified as to actually what it is?
No, I don't think we've got a definitive list.
Yeah, you mean the jobs that need to be
Yeah,
done?
yeah.
Yeah, I've got them all written down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as we tried to do them and then couldn't, I just put them in the list. There's 40, well, there was 41, there's 2 less now, so there's 39 still to do.
Well,
That's to bring the system up to where I believe it should be to work efficiently and not waste water.
Yeah, well, as water ratepayers and users, it's probably important too that we probably know what those we know what those jobs are and see them getting ticked off. So as we go forward, obviously you have to have the money to do it, but it'd be good to actually be able to do that.
But if you look at the, if you look at the water race maintenance figures, in 2024, we spent 388,000. Last year we spent 302, and this year we're budgeted for 246. And that's why, if you look at the total expenditure, you're 541. Last year you were 657, then 941 the year before. But that takes on that high overhead charge. But if you look at the previous year, if you look at your numbers of your water race maintenance, which is your question, then in that budget, we have actually cut it by 50,000 from last year.
That's quite
That's your
significant.
question.
Yeah.
So therefore even with the, your income's reduced, your overhead charges are reducing, but you've also reduced the maintenance on the water races. And I would have thought the maintenance on the water races would have been up, not down. Why is that?
I'll have to come back to you on that.
It looks like an error.
Years around the wrong way.
I'll check that, but yeah.
You're probably getting these jobs done in terms of efficiency too. It's really good.
As well as potentially that's something we can give to Jason that he's got a whole list.
Yeah.
So that we've got a list of jobs that
You guys.
Hockey fields are outstanding.
Yeah. Yep.
So it looks on the income side, like the rate income, which is the main income, has gone from last year 530 down to 472. So
That'll be in terms of what we're charging.
people getting a reduction in water race rates.
Basically,
I don't know whether it works that way.
Well,
yeah, I'll check those figures anyway.
Depend on how many big lots have been subdivided as well.
Yeah, but still,
It's still the budget, so it should be divided between the number of properties in balance between the area and what the number of lots in that it goes over.
And the classification.
Yes, yeah, that's where that area, you got the two, A and B.
lifestyle blocks should increase your budget.
Not,
They got minimum.
we can't,
No, if you've got more lifestyle blocks, you should get more income because you've got more minimum charges.
can't.
on those blocks.
we can't get more than what we're charging.
No,
So it'll be reduced, they'll pay a minimum amount, but there'll be a a larger lot will get a smaller reduction in terms of overall. So we have to balance it. We can't collect more than what we're supposedly, using budgeted.
The per metre rate for a lifestyle block has got to be higher than for the big categories of, like the big areas of parking.
Potentially, yeah.
Do a lot of those lifestyle blocks, do they, like I have, and most other farmers, we pay a consent fee to take water, like for our toilets or our stock troughs, to suck it out of it? It's, I don't know, what is it, $260 a year or something? Do most of the lifestyle blocks have those?
Yeah, anybody that have a domestic drawer pays.
Yeah, and you monitor that and feed it
Yeah, it's part of their rate.
regularly, people, yeah.
Right, sorry.
Can I ask, the full year income for the water races was 740, and it goes down 190,000 the next year, and then it's going down again this year. What's happening there?
Thank you.
It's a zero sum game, right? So we start with the expenditure lines and figure out how much expenditure is occurring. And then we add enough income to cover the expenditure. So if you look at the full year budget, it's got a total income budget of 541,231.
Yeah.
And the full year expenditure is 541,229. So we started with the expenditure and then we've added just enough income to cover it so that we're not overcharging rates.
Yep.
That's how the budget works.
Yeah.
We don't start with income, which is why when we go back to John McFadgen's question, which is more lifestylers should add to more income. No, it doesn't. What it does is we only generate enough income to cover the expenditure.
Yeah.
So more property owners will mean that a lower charge per property will occur rather than we end up with more revenue than cost.
Okay. So the water race rates to the water race users get adjusted every year on the basis of this.
Yeah, and how many properties and the area within it. So it's just divided differently.
And then we have the property information, all that kind of stuff, and we try and make sure the whole thing ends up at zero, so we're not overcharging whatever. And then there is additional charges as health mentioned, where a user is taking water from the race.
Yeah.
Zero.
Under local government, we aren't allowed to make profit.
Yeah. We have to balance.
Legally restricted from.
Yeah.
Oh, we could, but you would have to, the committee and the council would need to agree to create it.
Oh,
Yeah.
because
But
that's where you
usually you have to have a project or something you're aiming to use that money for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or it's an improvement.
Over time.
But you could create a special reserve if that's what you wish, and resource consent is a really good area where we know that, consent's coming up in 3 years or 5 years currently, and it's going to take a long period of time. So you might want to screw a bit away over the previous 10 years in order to help fund that. So you might want to create a special reserve, and that can be done.
But that would be a budget line item sort of in your resource consent. So from the budget side of it, it would balance with what your income would be.
But also like to. I mean, we go back and look at 2024, and you can see that we had expenditure of 697 and we only had income of 612. So we were short $85,000. Right? Because we didn't have a special reserve, that was funded by other council rates. That wasn't funded by water race users. Same as the year before that, $118,000. That was funded by other council reserves.
I mean, that's a hell of a deficit, isn't it? 118,000, and you had the big income.
Wouldn't want somebody.
Well, that was because the overcharge on the corporate citizen.
The last 50 years of training want to recast history, now would you? Not that we've ever done that. Just a thought.
That's where the difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
All questions answered on this report. And then we'll move on to the recommendation that we've, one that we received, can I have a mover and a seconder, please?
I'll move that.
Grant, thanks, Rachel. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. So we've got one action to come out of that Lawrence is going to check out the spend difference.
In terms of maintenance.
Sounds spend maintenance. Okay, we'll move on to item 6.3, the water race quality report, water quality report. G.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll take the report as read. Just a major update in regards to the renewal of consent. So we have done the first stage of sampling when the weather was favorable, which was the eDNA sampling and site inspections, which was done on October 7th and 9th. The other part would be done when the hydrological conditions are favorable, but we are in constant touch with the consultants.
Explain what eDNA is.
Might need to go back to.
So eDNA is they take a sample and they send it away to a lab and base a water sample. Basically from that, they can filter out and using the DNA that's within the sample result, see what macroinvertebrates and other invertebrates in that are in the water race upstream and give an indication on how many there are in terms of the concentrations. An inference because of the number of, the diversity and the number that are in the water, yes.
Yeah, you're able to tell where the heavy populations of eels are and crawlies and trout. They can work it out. Yeah. Just like, it's like the DNA for humans, really, to be fair.
That's not checking the eels are taking methamphetamines or something.
No. You found that out.
It's a special type of DNA.
I don't really know.
They wait for the samples.
I don't let them take samples on those water races.
Sorry, G.
Is it back in terms of what fits like that?
Well, it's scientifically accepted, so whether they're right or wrong is irrelevant.
It's,
The fact that GW
there are other,
and insist on it.
there's various other things because you get other contaminants coming in and you'll get the weird one because the sample I had was there was a whole lot of goats, but it was because somebody had been feeding their pet dog, which had been in the water race or something like that, or in the sample, which had created a false sort of indication of something. So there's various different ones, but it does give you
His dogs go.
yeah. So a quick as well as a wide sort of indication. Yeah.
So where does all this lead us to in terms of getting our consent? Because it's gone on and, you know.
Yep, so the Greater Wellington, they're studying the effects of if there's any effect on the river because of the water race discharges to the river. So they want to make a decision, informed decision. So they need extensive data to do that decision. That's why we're doing the sampling as per their request. So this is part of the Section 92 request that we are responding to.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be good if right at the very beginning, when you apply for a consent, all those things are there and can be ticked off one after the other rather than going on for 3 years or whatever it is?
That's very true. But at times, things just show up as we go back and forth. Yeah. They might need extra information, but it all comes from Greater Wellington.
How far beyond the expiry of a consent are we now?
We expired.
Yeah, but how many years since it expired?
It was,
what year was
it's in the report, I think it's June 2023, so it's about 2.5 months. 2.5 years.
Oh, yeah, okay, because the last one was 10 years, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we're time yet.
10 years to get the consent for a 10-year consent, yes. Yeah. But technically, yeah. Sorry.
Start again.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeff.
I wonder if I might be able to ask a question on the spot. There's been a lot of talk recently about the government making sweeping changes to regional CS2%. And there's been quite a lot of media press made about the fact that the government has written to regional council chairs and CEOs, warning them that there is changes coming and that they should make consent. But I guess the question in my mind is, should we hurry up, or would it be more prudent for us to perhaps wait and see if some of the regulations that we are attempting to satisfy might be done away with? And if you don't know, I'm happy if you say you don't know, but I just ponder whether or not we should push too hard at this point, because I am conscious, for example, in the wastewater area, I'm very conscious that the national government brought in national standards that were more consistent and more achievable across the country rather than individual regional council standards. And if that were to happen in this space, we may be able to achieve a better outcome for a longer term by waiting for the new consent conditions to come into play rather than trying to push our existing consent through.
Yeah, I agree.
And
That makes a lot of sense, Jeff.
It does.
And if I may, I would be saying probably not, because it's probably easier to go against, even though it has been a lot of back and forward in terms of what we are required, than waiting for something, as well as there's the risk that they come back and go, yeah, but the information you provided isn't relevant, so give us a whole new consent and we start again. So, and there has been, and I think I've explained this before, it's a bit of a balance between giving them a bit more information. We're still operating underneath the old consent.
Yeah.
So we know what we're doing, rather than potentially pushing it through, saying, look, we've given you all the information, you can do an evaluation, because that was the opinion by the policy advisors at the start of it. They had enough against what they requested. All this was really extra, rather than them coming back with a whole lot of extra conditions, which cost us a lot more money going through 15, 20 years in the future. We're adding and doing a whole lot more sampling, where this is something which is we can capitalize because we get a resource consent out of it, rather than an ongoing operational expense. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always conscious of the reason why we're here, you know, in terms of, you know, we represent the ones that, you know, the ones that are out, like ourselves. You know, we represent all those other water issues, and we all know how critical or how important that actually is too. So we don't want to stuff it up.
Yeah.
But, you know, I guess it's just my natural impatience a little bit that I sort of think, oh, it's still going. But
yes,
yeah, but hey, look, I'm always prepared to be guided by those that are far more involved and in the knowledge and in the managerial way that you guys are. So
yeah, and I started a year, 18 months before the expiry date to try to collect the information, but they weren't prepared to say, this is all the information you need to provide us. They were sort of saying, oh yeah, that's a good idea, without giving a definitive sheet.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why we are still in this process is because we didn't have the favorable weather. Because if we had the favorable weather, we would have submitted the results and it would have progressed much better. So it's one of the other reasons why we are stuck at this point.
I think the changes that Jeff's alluded to, though, like they're pretty imminent. Like they're not going to change.
And I think it's an unknown.
So, yeah. So if that's the case, then I would tend to take the foot off the throttle. And I don't see the point.
I've just been through it with a golf club, the same thing. And every time you give them information, they come back, oh, no, we want this information from that. And you give them that. Then they say, oh, no, we want this as well. And they just keep going on and on and on, in my personal opinion, to justify their bloody jobs.
To do.
Yeah. And I think the sooner you get it done and over with, and then wait for the changes to come in, because they won't come in a hurry.
Yeah,
they won't come in a hurry.
My question would be, what advantage would we get in making, if we got the consent to operate as we requested, and
I think
take advantage of the new rules and
the only bit of the only bit of stuff I've read in the paper, or Farmers Weekly stuff, but, they, MPs say the changes are going to be, are going to be
Regional
wide,
councils might be around.
wide and meaningful.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
And we got agreed the same thing for the natural resources plan, and this is what we ended up with.
Yeah.
You don't know how it's going to come out, whether they're going to listen to what your submissions are, and then how the consenting officer on the ground interprets those policies. So, yes, we're going forward anyway.
Jeff,
Just, sorry.
you Jeff, sorry.
Responding to John Booth, two things I'd consider, John. One is our existing consent operates with quite a wide brief, and we're able to operate, with a reasonable low flow and quite a high volume. My expectation is any new consent might have a higher minimum flow and a lower actual total volume. So if we push now, we're going to end up with potentially a more restrictive consent than we currently operate on.
Yeah.
And so I guess pushing hard is going to mean a worse outcome for water rights users. So my suggestion would be don't push hard now. Keep on ticking on and wait and see what the proposal for the new legislation or the new regulation are, because if regional council issue a consent tomorrow, my expectation is they will attempt to, and we will have to, they'll attempt to have a lower total take and a higher minimum flow.
Right.
And that would be bad for us. So
Yeah, Jeff, that would also potentially impact on the new dam too that's going to go up at Wainoa. We want to take the excess water.
exactly. So I'm just cautioning patience.
Yeah. We've been patient for a long time, so personally, I think we'd be patient a bit longer.
Mikey,
We still got our water.
Yeah.
closing comments.
If you guys remember a mandate that we come away with from the final meeting of the consent process, that we wanted a 15-year consent. Well, they've already told us we're only going to get 10. So if we stall it for another 3, we've got 15, haven't we?
What a mathematician.
Oh, well done, Mikey.
John, been teaching me.
Good item of comment too,
We've requested 20. They haven't said categorically no, but there's that risk. If we haven't provided enough information, they'll push for a shorter consent.
Didn't South already get a longer consent?
Yes,
No.
they did. Yes, they have. For their water race, they got a longer consent than we got.
Did they get a reduction in flows?
No, not that I know of. But yeah, I think they got 15 years. That was what I was told from Southway.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Costs associated,
want to continue on?
costs associated with the resource consent as are in the budget, like about 30,000 a year.
That's annual. I think we've spent about 180, 180 on the consent this time. Yeah.
Where's that money come?
Well, it's part of that accumulated resource consent
So we've got 30 or 40
That's
this year in our plan.
planned. Yeah.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah, so in regards to the other half of sampling, Pikey is also arranging some access to some difficult to access areas. That's about sampling, and the other one is about the water quality data. They're looking good to me. The nitrate is going down. E. coli numbers looking fine, and DRPS also. Just in regard to the water quality data, they're looking good at this point.
And the immediate discharges to the river, the waterways quality is better than what's in the river, so that's a good sign.
It's very good.
We
Good
can pay
news.
for improving the water river. We pay for improving the river water.
No, it saves us from getting shut down. The moment we discharge rubbish to the river, we'll be cut off.
Okay, is there any other questions or discussion on Cheat's report? If not, I'll move the report. Can I have a second, please? Thanks, John. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carry. So thanks for that, Cheat. Very good report. I've got one item of general business that I want to bring up before we close. I've had a letter from one of our, or my neighbour and a water race ratepayer. I'll just read it out what they're proposing or what requesting that we look into. We know Shirley Ferry would like to apply to collect stormwater from the stormwater network at high flows. We can store this in our existing pond on Rutland Road, which is the old brick and pipe site. In 2019, we had a water balance analysis done with Gareth Young from Opus. This could support our ability to store water and then use it in the summer when the rainfall is insufficient to grow grass to support our business. We feel this would be a good option to help support with the growing urban development in Carterton. This in turn can support our dairy farming business. It would give us confidence going forward to have the ability to grow more grass when the rainfall is insufficient. The more successful our business is, the more money we can put back into the local community. Thank you for considering our request. We'll rate your reply with fingers crossed. If we need any information, I've got Nolan's phone number here.
Just the second time they've applied.
Yeah.
To be fair, they will be doing us, the Carterton District Council, not so much the water race, because the water race that runs through their place is the number 2 stormwater drain. So we take all the stormwater from the north end of town into there, and we can't handle it. So if they were to take it and store it, that would alleviate our downstream stormwater network going right down the river.
Win-win.
Yeah. They should. Have you not had a letter from Stoltz?
No.
Right?
No.
The Stoltz approached me a few weeks ago to say that they're wishing to draw water from the water race on Wilton Road. They're building their own storage lake opposite ours. I told them to write in.
I thought there was something about that.
Eh?
I thought I read something about that somewhere.
No, not in that report.
I don't think so.
No, I haven't received that one.
Okay.
Nolan and Shirley are quite, I think we need to put it to, obviously, I think it needs more information and more research, and perhaps Lawrence and me or somebody needs to go and have a talk to them. Get some flows. They're talking about storing it in May, June, July.
Well, any time it rains, really.
Yeah, and they're quite happy to pump it if they have to. So
and they're happy to pay for it as well. So it's an income.
They don't have to pay for the water to be pumped. So as an action, I would like to see us investigate this further if that's the wish of the committee.
No reason not to.
Yeah, I'd second that.
So I'll move in that direction.
Second it.
And you'll second it, John. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. So we'll come back some recommendations at the third meeting. Thank you. Okay, well, that's all the business I've got. Has anybody got anything else? No, we'll just close with the closing Whakamutunga Karakia up on the wall up there. Kia wakatara, kiri tahu, kia waitia tiara, kia turuki whakatara ai, kia turuki whakatara ai, humi hui ai tae. Thank you. Thank you. I declare the meeting closed and thank you all for attending.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah. Best to. Let's put on that. Provide a bit more information.
Yeah.
It's okay, we've got the contact. Number anyway.
Yeah. That's some information for you. Pick it up for me, please.
You guys read that? Oh, you guys read that? Oh, no. About to read. It's about it. Yeah. It's called.
This is something. I don't think this is really unique. We don't really know what we're going to hit.
No, that's normal.
Oh, stormwater, there was soil as well, not water.
If we are.
You're just.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay. Except there.
When the water drops,
It's good because they're all.
You'll find it interesting. In the sense that it's not.
Just the arts permission to try and get it.
Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah.
It's fun. It's a good one.
Really fun trip.
Where'd you go?
Oh, cool. Good on you. Good on you. Okay.
You're okay now?
Yeah, come on. I'll still have to come on the blood, still get them right.
Clean up to this.
All right, Sarah?
Yes, well done. Just quickly.
Good.